Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the SANDCAST podcast. We are in our studio, the official new home of the SANDCAST podcast. And the whole crew is here today. First time that we
First time ever.
Sav in the studio with us in person.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Sav.
We didn't even get to see our last studio.
No.
So this is a big deal for us.
Yep.
Travis is finally back.
Back.
From, he's an actor now, so he's usually on set a lot, and he made a movie overseas.
Yeah.
Him and, who was George Clooney was your other, or is it?
Yeah, well, we had Jennifer Aniston was on standby just in case, but we figured we had enough A-listers.
The backup make-out scene. She was backup. You told him cut it out. You weren't comfortable.
No, I had to get out of there.
Right. Yeah. But we are back in LA, and it's kind of officially off season, even though Travis is still going to play in a bunch of stuff.
Just one.
Just one more.
Just one.
But we got some Kona brew in hand, and we're going to do some fan Q&A questions today. Q&A questions is kind of redundant, but that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
And we got Bent Doggy, the official mascot.
Bentley's back. He hasn't been in the studio in an episode in a while.
He needed his homie back.
He did. I missed him. Dude, it's crazy though, like coming back. I was in California. I took like an inventory. Since May, I've been in California for like 3.5 weeks.
Oh
my god!
Because sometimes we'd come back, but we would stop in Myrtle, which you were just at, and then we'd train at Adams for a week, and then hop back over.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be worth it, like flying all the way to California just to go all the way back.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, when I came back here, like I forgot how to get to like Sweet Green last night. I was just driving. I was like, I have no idea where I'm going, and forgot like where we put the keys and
Sweet
stuff.
Green?
Next to CPK in Manhattan.
Oh, the new Manhattan Village?
Yeah.
There's a Sweet Greens in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I had been before, but couldn't remember how to get there.
That's hilarious. And then you couldn't get to my house barely.
Yeah. I come back. Your house is totally different.
Yeah, that's true. The wife's
Gabby's
been
putting in work.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a new time, I guess, right?
Yeah. So it's so good to be home and just like sleep in your own bed and like to walk around.
I can't imagine that. Yeah.
It's so nice where like everything's in English, and, like all the food, and I don't know. It's just
I love it.
It's just life's back. Like,
perspective is so different now.
Yeah.
Because you said earlier that you said we've been doing this podcast for 4 years.
Yeah. So our first episode ever came out the last Wednesday of October of 2017. So the last Wednesday of this October will mark 4 years.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And for 3 of those years, I'm talking about all this world tour stuff, and you're like, wow, okay, yeah. But now you know.
Oh, yeah.
It is a grind out
Officially
there.
part of the grind.
Dude, like when we started the podcast, like I didn't have a passport. Had never left the country. Hadn't left it, didn't leave it until like fall of 2018, and then since like 2019, it's been like I went to a little bit, and then this year was wild. I like counted up the miles, and before I came back from Bulgaria, this trip it was like 82,000, like 560 something miles on a plane.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
How when you're flying? When I fly, even just from here to like just across the country,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like flying very much, and I also don't like sitting still for very long. So like, how have you managed to fly all these places and like be okay on a? I just would go insane. I don't know how people do it.
I'm
Sleep?
totally
Like-
with you. Like, I used to go crazy. Legitimately, like 8 hours. You're like 3.5 hours in. You're like, okay. You're looking at the time. You're like, holy God! Like, how can I sit here for 4 more hours? I used to be like that, but eventually you just like accept it, and you just stop thinking like 6 more hours, 5 more hours. I don't know, whatever.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I'll just walk around if I need to, and you just don't try to get to your destination. Just be where you're at. You know what I mean? Like, or else it's just torture.
And honestly, like with COVID and all like the like people like non-Americans can't get back into the U.S. from Europe. So I mean, the flights back were usually only 50% full at best. So like it's not like we were just sitting there like knee to knee. Like we were pretty fortunate with the seats we got. So the travel was like, it's never fun to be on a plane for like 11 hours. But I mean, the hardest part was just like you're in one time zone for 4 days. You try to get a practice together. You don't really get many reps on the road, and then you like have to play a tournament. Like you play a couple matches, like you have to. Then you take a rest day. Then you're traveling. Traveling's not really a rest day, and then you rest again. Then like you like get one practice, and you're playing again. So that was the hardest part. Was just trying to figure out how to stay like good at volleyball on the road.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I mean, flights are like you get used to it.
Yeah. What was your favorite place?
I loved Belgium. Belgium was awesome.
I think that's the one that Chrissy and Zana won.
Yeah.
And they were like, I think that was their first FIVB event, and they were like, it was the greatest thing ever. We were treated so well, and like the place was great.
Yeah.
Like they said the same thing. They loved it.
It was the coolest setup. So they built courts like in the city center of Leuven, which is like kind of like a college town. But they have this really historic library that was burned down in both world wars, actually, and then built back up, and burned down again, built it back up. And so now it's one of like the biggest libraries in the world. It has like 6 million books in it, I think. I read, and so like that was the backdrop, and it was sick. And like
you posted a picture of that, didn't you? Okay. I remember that.
And so that place was really cool. Belgium was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Belgium was most of the time when you go somewhere awesome, it's expensive. Belgium was expensive.
Not always. Bali and South Africa.
Oh, South Africa's back on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that.
Yeah.
Cape Town too.
And that's like one of your favorite spots, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was on vacation in Cape Town. So, yeah. No, but it's really cheap out there. And Cape Town's freaking beautiful, like epic. Yeah, it's just really hard to get to.
Yeah.
Like, you know how hard it is to fly to Europe? You do that, you land in Europe, and then you're like, okay, I got to do that again to get down to the point of Africa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it's worth it if you can stay for a while.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So the assistant director who was shooting the movie, he's like kind of a big dog, and the producer was like kind of pulling a favor to bring him in. Like he's done like 40 films. He did Don't Breathe, I think, and that film like
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
It like made like 120 million in profit. It was huge.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he called him in, but he's from South Africa, and he was saying that like Cape Town is one of the best places in the world. He's like, but when you go, he's like minimum 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so hard to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also cheap. Like most people will cut vacations short because it's like, I can't afford to be on vacation. For me, I'm like, the longer you stay, the more you're saving. Because you're not spending as much as you would being in America. And we were eating like kings out there. Like, sushi is just like, what? $8 for this roll compared to like here is like 22.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Cape Town, they got a couple interesting stops next year. Egypt, the Red Sea is on there. I think that's
Challenger,
not an Elite 16. But yeah, so there's like
you
Egypt
have the
is on there.
breakdown. I was on a call with Volleyball World. Were you on that call where they kind of broke down their plan and whatnot?
Will Hoey was.
You wrote an article about it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you know?
So, well, right now they have 16 events announced. 12 of those are Elite 16, and I think there's going to be like 15 or 16 of the Elite 16s.
Oh, wow.
So there's only a handful more of those. So there's like Rio, like kind of all the standard stops are there for those.
Yeah.
But then there's Australia. So there's actually back-to-back in Australia. There's a Challenger followed up by an Elite 16 in Australia in November. Egypt's on there. South Africa's on there. Rio in March. Mexico's got a stop in May. What's interesting is right now they don't have an event scheduled for July and August, or June and July, one or the other. And
Prime months.
Which might be, I was talking to Jose about it yesterday, and he was saying that like he thinks they're leaving that open so the domestic tours can thrive.
Yeah, right.
And I thought that was
They've
optimistic
never
thinking.
taken domestic tours into consideration.
Yeah.
But that would be amazing.
But it is a totally new organization, like running things and calling the shots. So maybe, I doubt it. I mean, it's just a sample of what the schedule is going to be.
Right.
What it's supposed to be anyway.
It's exciting though. I was on the call and he was bringing up, concerns and things that they thought were wrong and what they could fix, and they were just kind of checking off the boxes of stuff that we as players have brought up over the years.
Yeah.
For example, travel, where obviously prize money, traveling where they're making us jump from China to Brazil to Europe rather than just doing all the Asia stops at once, the Europe at once.
Right.
And they're going to try to do that for us. I thought just overall vibe is like, all right, these people are good for our sport and pushing us in the right direction. Plus all the money that the investors are bringing in, it can't help.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Well, I know that the company that is kind of injecting all this money and starting to run Volleyball World is the same one that kind of took over Formula One and the same one that took over rugby.
Yep.
And Formula One is like thriving, and so is rugby right now.
Yep.
And so they're just taking kind of these like ancillary sports and turning them into like giants. And now like Formula One is like one of the best docuseries in the world right now. Like Drive to Survive is sick.
That would be cool if they did that.
Yeah. And I know that like, I mean, because I work for Volleyball World, and so I know that like the amount of content that I see like on their platform, like this is insane. It's crazy.
$300 million.
Yeah.
And most of the money is going to indoor.
Yeah, a lot of money is going to indoor.
But
because that's what makes the money.
But if indoor thrives, it'll help us as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I'm just soaking all this. I don't know anything, so I'm just like soaking it all in, trying because I don't know anything about.
I think you're coming in at a good time. Like these
I don't know. I'm like kind of free. I'm like, is this screwing me over more? Because I'm already kind of screwed. I have 0 points.
No.
So I don't know what to think.
It's not peaking at all. I think we were in a dip overall, just with COVID and the star system. COVID really like stopped all the domestic.
So there's no more star. There's no more star system.
Star system's done. It's a 3-tier
No more
system.
country quotas. That's what I heard.
allegedly. I don't think any.
aren't they going to have them at a different? Oh no, at every level.
I think it's just like.
Thank God.
If you're the top 16 in the world, so I think like right now, like.
No, but at the challenger level, so it's Elite 16.
You have the 16.
Challenger Series, and then a developmental tour.
Yeah. But I think it's just like
There's
straight
no quota
out,
at any
straight
of them?
merit. Yeah,
That's great.
So I don't
They
think
actually mentioned that. No, they mentioned
that
that on, which is funny because we, as the Players Association, I had brought it up. A few Brazilians had brought it up, and they had asked the Players Association to ask players like what they would vote in terms of the country quota, and all the countries wanted it, of course, except for the U.S. and Brazil,
right?
Which I thought was really lame. But then the beach volleyball world people who were doing the presentation said we think that the best team should be there. That's what's best for our sport, and so they kind of overruled it. And which is like amazing because we didn't even come to them or like tell them. They're just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and it's freaking awesome
for
all of us.
Yeah,
so we can have 5 teams in if we want, which hopefully is a problem for the other countries.
Yeah.
But then there will be a qualifier for the challenger level, but not for the Elite 16 level.
Right. So Elite 16, I don't really know how mobility is going to work between, like, how you get into the Elite 16.
You're allowed to play down.
You are.
Elite 16, you're top 16 ranked. But you're allowed to play down in the Challenger Series, and they said they haven't figured out exactly. Like maybe there's a limit to how much you can play.
Okay.
But I think they said like it just didn't make sense to not let any, just because scheduling conflicts and if there's a domestic event in one country and that team wants to play in it, the promoter's going to want them to play in that event, even if it's a challenger. Like Latvians should play in the Latvia event.
Okay.
So you can play down, which I think might be a little tricky because if you play down, you're going to boot someone else out of the Challenger Series. But yeah, I also think there's going to be so many events. If you throw away an Elite 16 event, you're probably not going to go to all the Elite 16s.
Right.
So which would slide a team up.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to play in 25 events, which is pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I played in 9 international events, and that was plenty.
Dude, me and Hayden played in like 20 one year, I feel like.
Crazy.
Yeah, 2016. No wonder I had surgery and had to take 2 years off.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think this is all so fascinating. Like I keep hearing different people talking about all this stuff, and so I'm just trying to absorb everything I can because these are goals of mine, and so I had my mom. She was reading. We're on the beach together. I'm half asleep. I'm like in the sun taking a nap, and she's reading this article that just came out. It might have been the one did you write about this? She probably was reading that. Okay. And I'm like, I just don't. Coming from someone who doesn't understand, trying to explain to someone else who doesn't understand, I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. So I went to dinner with Timmy Brewster last night, and I was like, does this
loved him.
Loved him. He's the best. And Logan Weber. It was just fantastic. Yeah. I'm like, does this make things even harder for me? He's like, honestly, no. I think it's probably just the same. Like,
yeah, I think it's the same. I would say.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. It's better. What you want, what we want, is a better, stronger tour. Mm-hmm. Like we want just everything to move forward, and the star system was not working.
Yeah. So how are they gonna get this started? Like, how do they select people to be in the Elite 16, and then how is the points like for Olympic qualification? No. How does it work?
Well, so Olympic qualifying points, that's just a full, like, reset.
Everything's, yeah.
But that won't start until 2 years before.
2 years before, that's right.
So that's just nothing this year, finally. Elite 16 is just going to be your world ranking. Yeah. If you're top 16, you get into the first event based on who signs up and whatnot. And then Challenger Series is going to be 17 through whatever. And it's just going to be go straight off your ranking and points, which is, it's not any harder or easier.
Because I have 0 points.
Yeah, because you have 0 points, right.
Well, I think for Americans, especially American women in particular, this makes it way easier. Because, like, before, I mean, you would have had to have been in a country quota to play in a 1-star.
Exactly.
Where now, like, those are gone, supposedly. Mm-hmm.
You can go get playing experience against other teams in the country, in other countries, and guarantee that when you fly overseas, rather than going over there to play against the same people you practice against.
That was the most concerning thing for me. Yeah.
And you're like, I could have just scrimmaged them here. At least let me go lose to a European team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So now you're like at least into the qualifier.
Yeah.
You're just
so someone like me would be in like the developmental level. Is that the one you're talking about?
It's called the Futures, which is like kind of basically is the exact equivalent of a 1-star. Yeah. Like the format, the teams, everything, the prize money is the exact same.
And we can get into a qualifier with 0 points.
You'll still need some. So the biggest thing for like teams wanting to start on the World Tour is Norsekas. And there were no Norsekas this year because, like, I guess, I mean, with COVID and everything, it was tough, which sucks because, like, that's by far the easiest way to get points, especially, like...
It's fun, too.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not, like, at the bottom of the barrel. Like, you can start and, like, be competing in a real, legit event right off the bat. Yeah. Whereas, like, you go on the World Tour, it's like, damn. Yeah. This is a big mountain.
Yeah. So it sounds like all exciting things, though, for... all of us, right? It seems like a positive, very positive thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. And I think you'll notice, like, it's always the quads. Like, the sport, like, waves go in quads. And usually there's a dip after the Olympics. But I think this time, since we had COVID and the star system was a failure, we're kind of, like, starting on an uptrend. It's not, like, a down year and then back up. It's like there's no down, I think. Yeah. We're just kind of, like, slowly going to rise from here, which is good.
I'd agree with that. And like Tri said, I think you're coming in at pretty much the perfect time.
Yes. Because it's not peaked yet. It's not even like on the rise yet. It's like it's just starting. Everything looks good, and now you're starting with it. So it's like perfect.
Yeah. You are buying the beach volleyball stock at a real low. And
the
only direction we're going is up.
Yeah. Love to hear that. Exactly. So I'm sitting here like, I don't know anything. I'm just trying to... There's when we get into our fan question, there's a funny question that's like, would you consider, for me and you, it's like, would you consider split blocking? I'm like, I'll literally do anything to make it here. Like, it's not even a question.
Split block, and you guys played awesome. You were scrappy.
Scrappy, yes. Yeah. We tried really, really hard, but a lot of credit goes to blockers. Like, me and Zana were like, this is the hardest thing we've ever done. We're like, we'll just pull and dig the whole time. Oh no, people are too good for that. Like that worked at the college level. was not going to work at this level. So, I mean, yeah, for me at least, my summer, it looked a lot different than your guys' getting started. And I had so much fun. Like, yes, like I didn't qualify for Chicago. I didn't even qualify for Manhattan, but I was the lucky loser for Manhattan and had a great time with Zana, and Atlanta was amazing. And then all the AVP Next events, which I feel like those were never really a very big thing until this year, and then everyone was going. So I had so much experience playing against the best people there. And yeah, like I still live at home, but I'm just itching to get up here because I'm having so much fun. Every time I come up here and stay with people, I am like, this is so much fun. And I just feel like I'm finally kind of fitting in with everyone and like meeting so many cool people. And, you know, I had an absolute blast. I played defense, I split block, like I did everything I could possible to just get further in this sport and had an absolute blast. So, I mean, it's obviously I haven't been overseas yet. That's a whole nother level that I'm looking forward to, but I'm just so happy with the way things went. Yes, I wish I could have done better in some events or qualified for Chicago or like obviously I had so much to learn, but just so grateful for everything that I experienced. Cause I remember like we haven't done a podcast in a while with me at least. It was like we were in Zoom and I think I just finished my season, or did we do one during the summer?
We did one.
Me and you did one.
Me and you did a couple when
you were on a secret mission.
Oh yeah,
when you were on vacation in Tokyo.
That was weird.
Yeah. It's like
So we did a couple then.
yeah, okay. But it just feels like so much has happened since then. So
Ton has happened.
yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
a lot has happened, and I think it's gonna be super fun for you just to have like, obviously you performed really well. You set the bar really high for yourself in Atlanta. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
I know.
No, but like just playing a whole season and like having a main draw season like that is a accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
And like we should have a full season, so there's like a lot to look forward to, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think this season, like, it was almost the perfect, like, soft introduction for you. Cause,
3
like,
tournaments.
If you went out and you were like, I'm going to play 12 tournaments and then a lot of people, I think, can get overwhelmed pretty fast by that. But, like, you played great volleyball in 3 tournaments. And then the AVP Next Golds are legit.
They were legit.
Like, real events. And I was talking to Billy Allen about this, and he made more money getting second in Atlantic City than he did getting third in Atlanta. And one was an AVP Next.
Yep.
And so,
Atlantic
like, the
City
AVP
was
Next are,
awesome.
like, they're like the perfect...
You got third in Atlanta?
Or when did you beat them?
Quarters.
Fifth? Quarters.
Fifth.
So quarters.
Fifth.
You got fifth. But we were just talking about, like, how big the AVP Next Golds are, because they're, like, such a perfect middle ground of, like, an amateur and a professional event.
Yeah.
And you're playing real competition. And you got, what, like, third in Atlantic City?
I think I got 5th in Atlantic City.
Okay.
I can't remember. Wapaka, I think I got 5th. I'm going to Clearwater. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes. I've heard
Yeah.
interesting things. I think you were telling me about that, the sand and
You can
the
bring
whole...
their shoes.
I know. I know. We'll see.
I heard about that one.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm here to have fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I just want to go experience all these different places. And if I can't do it again, then I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't get injured. But that's the same thing with Wapaka. I heard so many weird things, but
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It
If
was
you
crazy.
get the opportunity and you have the time to do it,
Yeah.
and energy and whatnot, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
Because at least from my experience, that goes out the door to where you can't go to all the fun ones anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I say go for it.
Yeah.
I still want to go to Wapaka and what's the one, Fuds?
And Fuds
That's
and,
this weekend.
Seaside.
I was gonna go to Fuds, but I have a wedding.
Whose wedding you
A
got?
cousin, Gabby's cousin. Yeah.
Spring Fuds. I heard that. I've learned all
heard
about
that one's
Fuds.
even
Spring,
better.
Spring
I
Fuds
heard
is
that
a big
one's
one.
fun, yeah.
That one's just tough because, like, so the AVP used to start the season on Cinco de Mayo weekend every year, and Fuds is always, like, the week before. So that
That's
was
tough,
hard.
yeah,
But this year
yeah.
was great because, like, there was nothing.
Yeah.
But Spring Fuds, if you're going to go to a Fuds, that's the one to try to hit.
Yeah.
But Fours is a blast. And you're going to go play in that
Austin.
big 4-man in Austin.
Yeah, that looks so fun.
It's like the first player thrown. Like the McKibbins are straight up their idea. They're producing it, throwing it, doing content, and they're just like us, like
That's
players.
so fun.
So it's pretty
amazing.
I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and the content's gonna be great.
Yeah, their post-production is like...
Dude, they've done such a good job.
Yeah.
Just seeing all their stuff this summer.
They kill
such
it.
a good
and
job.
we have like it's going to be like Road Rules or whatever, because they have like a mansion on the lake that we're all staying at for 2 nights with jet skis and shit. And there's a sponsor paying for it all, and they're going to be filming in this place. So it's just going to be a shit
Reality
show.
TV
Chaos.
hits the
Yeah.
AVP.
Maybe there'll be some fights,
It'll be a fun
some
weekend.
weird hookups. I don't know if the girls are staying there too, but I think
I think it's everyone except for like April. I think she's staying at a hotel.
Oh, okay, bro. All right.
Gold medalist.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Q&A?
Shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
I'm ready for it.
Our fans have asked, so
Okay.
we shall answer.
Yeah. Well, going back, you talked about training Myrtle Beach. So someone asked, Kevin Knight said, how epic is the Myrtle Beach Open? So I wanted to ask you
The
about that
only one
because
who
you were
played.
just there. Yeah.
Yeah, you played it, right? Mm-mm. Oh, you never played it?
No, I played a Myrtle Beach tournament in May, but it wasn't the Myrtle Beach Open.
The Catalina Wine of volleyball tournaments. No, it was cool. It was one of those that, I'd been hearing the stories about Phil and Nick and A-Rob and Matt Heath growing up over there and learning the sport in that town and at A-Rob's house. So I was like, I had to go experience it.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to go play with Adam. And so it was awesome. Like, he's the ultimate host. The house is like gorgeous, epic. Beach volleyball court out front, a pool, waves, little waves, but waves, and a nice beach. It's kind of like a, I don't know, cheesy little beach town.
Yeah.
But like the people throwing the event are super into the event, and just like you could tell, like they go all out. They have like a wall of fame, like all the winners on it kind of thing, and they do like a little ceremony where they're inducting people into their Hall of Fame. And
It was the first year.
oh, that was the first year they did it. Yeah, so they did that.
That's cool.
But you could tell they just were super passionate about it.
Yeah.
The guy who ran it, I had seen in Atlanta, and he was like telling me about it and wanting me to go. So like it's a big deal for them, which makes it cool to go play. And then basically part of the tradition is you stay at Adam's house, and everyone kind of stays there. And there's a big barbecue the night before, and all the players are there, and it was cool. There was really good vibes. Everyone was just kind of like loving. They weren't like die hard about winning the tournament. It was just like, let's enjoy it, and maybe I can win kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend it. I mean, especially if you can get into the A-Rob party, then you should definitely go. If not, then Myrtle's still a really cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah. A-Rob, like, VIP host.
And Kevin was on the barbecue.
Yes.
Shout out. He's like what do you call it? Like a pit master?
He was a pit master in, like,
Yeah.
St. Louis, which is, like, the mecca of, like, barbecue and smokehouses. And so the first time I went to Myrtle Beach, Kevin smoked, like, this pork butt, and he, like, showed me kind of, like, how to pull the pork.
He did
And I was
2
like, "This is
pork
amazing."
shoulders while we were there, smoking them. Like, he's waking up in the middle of the night to, like, rotate them and, like, do something to the fire. Yeah, like, he went all out and just made the most killer barbecue for everyone.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And Kevin's a good player, too. And so, Kevin,
Exactly.
you're appreciated, and we love you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So overall, great review
You did well.
on the Myrtle Beach Open.
Myrtle Beach Open, the barbecue's great.
Place, the food, the
Volleyball's
people.
pretty good.
Yeah. Perfect. We haven't really we talked about kind of all of our own seasons, but we have a lot of people asking about potential partner shakeups. So we have questions about Chase Budinger, Andy Benish, Sarah Hughes, a couple others. So what do you guys think? We start with the men and then maybe go to the women. But
I weirdly
Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander, like all that
I thought
type of
I'd
stuff.
hear more at
know.
this point. Usually, like, there's some people that are really anxious to like do something and they make moves right away, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah.
So it's all potential.
I feel like everyone's kind of waiting on Taylor Crabb, like if he's for sure going with Taylor Sander or not. Because then,
I think that's pretty set.
okay. Because then, like, if he, like, say they make like their formal announcement, and then I think because the partner trickle down starts from the top.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Taylor's
totally.
at the top, and so then I think once Taylor like for sure ties up something,
Yeah.
then it'll kind of trickle down from there.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're waiting for. But I mean, as far as I've heard and seen, that's his choice.
Yeah.
He's playing with Sander.
Yeah.
It's hard to say it's a risk when it's Taylor Sander.
Right.
Like, he's probably the best athlete we have in volleyball for USA.
Yeah.
But it's always kind of nerve-wracking, like, taking someone with no points or experience. But I can't say that it's a terrible idea. I've talked to a handful of people, and some people, legitimate sources, think that it's a bad idea. I can't say that I agree, though. Like, there's no part of me can say that, like, they're not going to do well together.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think it'll take some time. But I think also it's one of Taylor's best friends, so, like, I can definitely say that it's fun and enjoyable to do that. And if you're going to do something like that, do it in the first year of the quad or the three-year quad. This time around, whatever. Right. Do it now is my point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's happening. I think that's legitimately something to get excited to watch as a fan.
Yeah. And, I mean, I just, when people ask me for my thoughts, and I'm like, well, I mean, when it comes to beach volleyball, like, has Taylor Crabb made many bad decisions?
Right.
Like,
he knows the game.
He knows it as good as anyone
and I've
in the
seen
world.
Sander play a little, like, just setting, hitting shots, and the guy can play. Like, he's not one of those guys that has to learn beach volleyball in terms of, like, just the feel for it. There's a lot to learn in terms of, like, just small little crafty, and strategic things, but he's one of those guys that, like, is going to have the feel for it very quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we say that, like, Taylor and Taylor are locked in, and, well, actually, that would put you and Trevor as the 1 in the U.S., Cam and Theo as the 2, Taylor,
Whoa.
3.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Now that those old guys are gone, I love it.
And then so the 4.
Well, Nick is the question in my mind.
So my
Lucena's
if I'm a betting
saying
man,
he wants to go for 3 years to Paris.
So I would put my money on, like, a Chase Budinger Lucena.
Yeah, I don't
just
see
makes
why
the most
that.
sense.
I don't see why that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, or maybe, like, Nick and Troy. I don't know, but Nick and Chase just makes more sense to me, and then Troy and Miles.
If I'm Nick, I take Budinger.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard after the year that Chase had. It's hard to argue against it. Yeah,
like, he's been trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Troy obviously has. I mean, he kind of maybe had a plateau year, but that's kind of because he wasn't on the world tour.
Yeah.
And AVPs obviously didn't work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Budinger's the guy probably.
Yeah. So and then.
But then Benish.
Right. But he has no points, which is tough.
He's almost one of those guys that's like, buy low. Like, now's your time to buy.
Yeah.
But then you don't pass on a Budinger. I don't know. Like, does Andy have a higher ceiling? Maybe.
So then, like, Nick is then kind of the next layer of the trickle down. Yeah. Like, who he picks will then decide the rest of the way.
And it's also weird because Nick, talent-wise, you could still say let's just say the 2 defender behind Taylor. Mm-hmm. But then is he going to be on the 4 team, 5 team? Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say Nick's not a top guy anymore because he's older.
Right.
Right? Like,
he's
still
Nick.
in amazing shape. He's still playing well and in amazing shape.
Yeah.
He could be better for all I know. So, I mean, I guess that's good for the blockers out there.
Yeah. And that's I was talking to Billy Allen about it because he came out to Bulgaria for a little bit, and he was like, Andy's stock is pretty dang high. But I was trying to think of who could pick him up, who's better than Billy or in like a better position. Right. And like Nick is really the only one. Casey Patterson will be a free agent, so maybe Casey, but then Andy won't go world tour with Casey.
Is Billy going to go world tour?
Maybe.
I feel like he doesn't want to, but will he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's signed up for the country quota for Brazil, so that's who me and Tim will play.
Last country quota.
Last country quota ever.
Thank God. Hopefully ever.
No kidding.
Yeah. So can we just switch it now?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, come on, guys. Like, we can just go play in the qualifier. So the guys' side, I think we won't hear anything for a while. The girls' side, like, could get pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Because April and Alex, when we had them on, they said that they're staying together for the time being.
Yeah.
But Clays and Sponsel, I think, are done. They're going their separate ways. Kalinsky Stockman are going their separate ways. Sarah Hughes
I think she's been a free agent. She hasn't found that partnership.
She just
yet.
had like the worst timing.
She had a
for
really
that
bad quad.
Yeah, it was such a bummer because like her and Summer were a great team, and then Summer like got hurt and kind of like mid quad retirement.
Right when Slays started getting momentum.
Yeah. So Sarah's like free agent, and then you have like a lot of kind of the younger players who started getting a lot of points and playing well. You got like Zana played great. Chrissy Jones has some points now. She played great. Therese Cannon played great. So you have like the younger players.
Reeves.
And, like, Kelly Reeves is in the mix as always.
Yeah.
Brooke Sweat still there. And Carrie Walsh.
No, listen to this. Fendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke and
She's
Fendrick are back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah. So
That's a trip.
It's wild.
And
It's so
Fendrick's got
wild.
points.
Yeah.
Because she had double pregnancy.
like points from like 2013.
I honestly forgot like that she still would play. I was
She's like Han Solo, just like frozen.
I'm back. What?
She's back, and she can still play. Like her last event, she won in Cambodia with Sarah Hughes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She's been riding that high.
Gosh.
Dang.
Wow.
And had 2 kids, and now she's back with Brooke. And her and Brooke were great when they were together. They made the Olympics.
Right. Yeah, Carrie hasn't said what she's doing.
I would highly doubt if Carrie Walsh is done. Like I think for sure she'll be back.
Yeah. Because, I mean, she needs like a proper retirement, you know? She's not just going to fade into the sunset.
Yeah.
But still, like, why? You got to really
I think she
want
wants
it to,
that
like,
4th gold. I was listening to a podcast that she did with
I wouldn't be
Liz
surprised if
House.
it's Carrie.
Yeah. And she was like, she has this like saying this like 4, I forget what exactly what it was. It was kind of like this kind of catchphrase, but it was basically like 4 gold. I think maybe like 4G.
4G.
And like that's, and so like that's the thing, like she wants that other gold. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a Carrie Sarah Hughes.
That's insane. How old will she be?
I think she's 44 right now.
I guess the guys make that look doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And she has the work ethic. You know she's going to put the work in.
Yeah.
Well, great.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be wild. I think how teams do in Itapema, like who gets points then, will
Decide
be a little bit of a factor. And then I think once like the schedule comes out and January rolls around is when everything, the partner carousel is really going to start
chaos.
turning.
Yeah, so basically we have no answers for you guys.
Yeah.
That's our 10-minute answer. I mean... Yeah.
Like if you're Sponsel Clays and you're not playing together, who are you picking? Like who?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kelly's in such a good position. Like
As a blocker.
A hand-setting blocker. Clays.
Well, and
Larson
Kalinsky, yeah.
too, because
No.
Kalinsky.
Yeah.
Kelly Kalinsky's in a pretty good position, because she's Sponsel's dropping off. She's next in line. She was, I don't know, not my words, but like probably the stronger of the two of that past team with Stockman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be a logical thing right there. And she's got a good work ethic.
Yeah, for sure.
She's proven that she can win, like, at a very high, consistent pace. Sponsel and Kalinsky?
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at it, it's like kind of the 2 Sarahs are the highest free agent defenders.
Yeah,
Right, Sponsel and Hughes.
I'm actually really excited to see Hughes get back winning again.
Yeah.
It's been hard to kind of watch her
Yeah.
struggle a little bit.
Especially because, like, you guys share a coach. Like, you see her a fair amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that girl, she puts in the work and she's passionate about it. Like, nothing's changed in terms of the way she goes about her business. But, yeah, I can see the, like she's just kind of grinding without the rewards coming.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you do that, good things always come at the end
Always,
of that.
yeah.
But then who would
Kelly Clays play with?
Clays and back? back with Sarah Bear?
Clay's Hughes.
Clay's Hughes?
I mean, they've proven they could win. It's possible.
How funny would that be?
It would be funny. I mean, that would be, talk about full circle.
Or Stockman Clays.
Or Stockman Clays.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
Or
even
a
like
younger,
a Kalinsky Clays.
Kalinsky Clays. Whoa. Double block.
Get weird.
Like split block.
Because I know that Kelly...
I could see Clays playing defense. She's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, well, she won a Norseka qualifier, like a pretty gnarly one.
But you're not going to have
with Carey.
You're not going to have Kalinsky play defense, right?
Well, I know that Kelly
was training it a little bit
training
with
as
Tori.
a defender with Tori Van Winden.
Yeah.
And I know that's something she's like kind of dabbled with.
Or do they go deeper?
Yeah. Think of the savvy.
Me.
But I know
Me,
like
Zana, all of us over here.
I'm available.
because I think
I'm
Zama's put herself in that mix for sure.
Zana's
Does she have
weighing
points? She's fun to watch. Really
Yeah.
fun to watch.
She got some with Chrissy, but Chrissy, what's the deal with Chrissy?
Chrissy.
I'm hearing I don't know.
I don't know how her knee is.
Chrissy.
Maybe.
But Zana's got a high.
I think Zana would stay with
stock.
Chrissy, but Chrissy's injured right now. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So I don't know what.
Yeah.
She's gonna play with Delaney in the country quota. That'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Ooh, that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. They're like, I love watching that team. Because they played in Brno in a 2-star and got 9th. They were the only team to take a set off of Emily and Betsy. So they're good.
like scrappy, skilled
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just gritty.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It's a toss up.
It's going to be fun to
There's
watch.
our
Yeah.
no answer.
There's not an answer. Yeah.
We just put out a lot of hypotheticals.
Hey, I mean that's all we can do. You hear a lot of rumors, but you don't really know. You don't want to start assuming things.
Yeah.
And we are like not even technically to the off season yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So
A little early,
we're jumping the gun
Yeah.
a little bit. Okay. Ask us in like 2 months, then
Yeah.
maybe
The
we'll know more.
finals was just last weekend.
Yeah.
And there's Itapema.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay, so do you think that, Rob Clinch asks, do you think that the 2022 International Tour pulls teams away from the AVP Tour with teams trying to make the Elite 16?
My initial thought is I don't really see it changing from what it is now.
Yeah.
Like people are grinding to get points just to be on tour, period. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just like a different name to a similar system. Although I think this new system will work better. I mean, you're going to try to go get points whenever you can either way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more about the AVP than anything the FIVB does or Volleyball World. Because with the AVP, I mean, they've put on 6 combined events in the last 2 years, 3 of which were limited to the top 12 teams in the country. And so if you're like someone like me, where I look at it and I see the FIVB's putting on at least 15 events a year that I could play in, well, I would prioritize
You're like,
that
I'm going
every
there,
time.
yeah.
Like, it makes no sense for me to train as much as I do to play 3 events.
Yeah.
So if the AVP like starts putting on 8, 10, 12 events a year,
Which is a high, that's
Reasonable.
it's reasonable.
Right.
Right,
And then,
because
like,
of Bally's, yeah.
I would much rather play a tournament in California than
Then
Bulgaria.
go, yeah.
I can
You don't like
promise
Bulgaria? You went there like 5 times this year. What do you mean?
I
You're like a
love that
movie
place.
star out there.
But
Just too much publicity out there.
He's too famous.
The
Paparazzi.
were everywhere. It's crazy.
I
tell you what,
I
it
look
was-
at it like, or what were you going to say?
I was Bulgaria was great because everything's basically free there.
Right.
It's amazing.
Weren't you in like
So
a
cheap.
compound? Oh, it's just cheap.
Yeah, it's so cheap. But yeah, I mean, when we were there, everything was paid. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it like making a living as an American beach volleyball player. Everyone has access to the AVP. Everyone can sign up and get your shot at it. World Tour is not like that.
Yeah.
But to put together like a full living, you have to put both halves together. So the World Tour is, for anyone that's trying to be full-time, that's going to be the priority.
Yeah.
Always. So whether it's this system or the last, I think people are going to constantly be trying to pick, okay, what are the most important events for me to get this other chunk of my career going?
Yeah.
Because the AVP is a given, somewhat, right? Like, because you can sign up for it and you just like, you're in. At least you're going to get your shot.
Yeah.
So I think that's just how it is. It's kind of always going to be that way because not only are you having a second income of prize money and whatnot, on the World Tour, but you have USA Volleyball's support. And that's where it really, like, once you really start to you're really trying to make a long-term living, you want that health insurance. You want that monthly stipend.
Mm-hmm.
The monthly stipend is literally the only guarantee you can get in our sport of, like, I'm going to get this money at the end of the month, you know? And I think that's the thing that we're all really fighting for.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. This is more of a question for Try. It's what do Trav and Sav need to improve or learn to become elite U.S. beach players?
Who wrote that?
The same guy, Rob Clinch. He has some good questions. And then he asks, should we try split blocking? It's the future.
You guys.
Yeah.
Co-ed.
Co-ed split blocking. Come on, Sav.
Co-ed. No. Both of us transitioned to split blockers like you.
Oh, I see. Wait, hold on. Oh, God. Interesting question. Really putting me on the spot with them being here. No, I don't know. Just gotta win.
Yeah.
Just perform.
I mean, it's kind of simple. I mean, you just figure out your specific plan, like we talk about on the show a lot. Yeah. The whole, like, I'm supposed to do this because everyone else is doing it kind of thing isn't recommended. Like Travis's path, good luck following Travis's path, you know? But he somehow made it here and he's doing it his way. I wouldn't have told him to go be in a beach volleyball movie after the most grueling year of his career, but that's his thing, and it's probably something he's definitely never going to regret. So.
Right.
And if anyone could do it, it's Travis.
Well, and, like, the way you get reps, right? Like, you're going to play in Laguna Beach Open. You play in the small ones to work yourself up to bigger ones, and there's a strategy to it. Mm-hmm. So just, like, put thought into it and understand what your specific goal is, what you want to get out of it. And then find the partnership. That's, like, kind of the biggest thing. Find the partnership that will get you to that goal. And it's not always like, okay, on paper, we're going to be the best team, so I have to play this person. Mm-hmm. Like, your sanity comes into play too sometimes, you know? Like, do you guys work together? Is this person getting by off all talent and they're, you know, not maximizing their potential, and that's going to just eat away at your soul as their partner, whereas someone might not be as good, but they're just going to put in the work and make you better, you know? So I just think the journey is different for everybody. Obviously, most of our goals is just to see how great we can be at this sport. But you just got to go for it.
I think for you, Sav, like,
helpful.
That's almost an unfair question to ask of you, because, like, you played 3 events this year. You beat Lily and Larissa in your first one. You got, a 7th in Atlanta?
Yeah.
In your first AVP, like, that's a hell of a start. Yeah. And then you got pulled up again by Zana in the second one. And then, so you were 2 for 3. You played great in the AVP Next Golds. So I think, like, for you to overcome the hump, like, you overcame, like, 6 of them in your first year. Like, not many people qualify once in their first year, let alone twice, let alone beating one of the best teams in the world in their first main draw match.
Yeah. That was fun.
And then getting the 7th. Like, you had a hell of a season.
And don't ignore, like, the signs here. Like, how were you in high school? How are you in college? How are you starting your pro career? If you're the best at every level, don't, like, downplay that you can't be the best at the next, you know? Like, expect that and be like, okay, well, I'm here, so this is where I'm at. Like, you know, I feel like some people come in and they're like, oh, I don't know if I belong here. Or, like, if you're in the tent, you
that
belong,
was me in the players'
and you
tent.
can look across. Yeah, but, like, just don't let it, obviously being humble and whatnot, and, like, having that beginner's mindset is great, but don't let it affect your play. Like, go out to
100%.
take over and just dominate. Because
Yeah.
it can happen quick. Yeah. For me, it was like, I feel like I'm as good as these people. Let's see. And then I went out and beat them, and I obviously I was fortunate to pick up a veteran early, but like it can happen like that, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm here. Now this is the new norm.
That's why I'm trying to, like, keep. I mean, I know we're going in off season, but, like, this is kind of time where all these partner switches are happening, and I'm like, if one of these people picks me up, like, with points, I can assure you, like, I will do everything in my power to be the best player I can be, like that. And so I think that's kind of the mindset that I have to have, and I have to just be really scrappy going into this whole thing. I'm hoping that, qualifying or beating these big teams, like, helps with my case, but I also don't have points. I don't have much experience, but I will work. There's always different things. So, yeah, it was like going to the players' tent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. Like I was so scared. Me and Megan Kraft, and she's been in, I think she was in 1 or maybe 2 other AVPs before that one.
Handful, yeah.
And we had our game against Sarah and Kelly was at like 3:30. And so we're like sitting we got breakfast at like 9. We slept in a little bit. We also didn't have a coach. We have no one telling us what to do. We have no idea what to do.
Right.
We're sitting in our room. It's like 11 o'clock. We're like, okay, let's just go. Let's just go to the facility. Let's go sit in the players' tent because we're just so excited to go play. Yeah. And yeah, there is a part of it where you're like, wow, I'm sitting here next to Phil and Jake and Taylor. I'm like, dude, get me out of here. I don't belong here. And then April and Alex walk in. I'm like, oh my gosh, fangirling. I want to take a selfie. Like, but then you do it again. You're like, okay, like maybe I do belong here. And then they ask you to train, and like just like your guys' advice to me, like my first podcast was like, just be the most available player. What's your little phrase that you have? It's like
best ability is your
yes, that's yours. That's yours.
Yep.
That's like
it.
From
we throw it around a lot.
That's a try original.
It's a football player. That's what football players do because they're always hurt.
Yeah.
Or say.
Yeah. Best advice, because that's just, and I am from San Diego, like probably going to move up here, probably not right now, but in the, in 2022 when things are picking up again. But, I'm getting up at 4 a.m, coming here for like a 7:30 practice because people have work to do, but that's, that's just how it is. So, yeah, it's exciting. That was good advice, though.
It was
good answer to the question.
It's funny because my brother asked me. My older brother came out to Manhattan. He always tries to come out to like one
Tyler?
beach tournament. Yeah.
He will ask his question.
Yeah, and so now he's like a beach volley like junkie, and so he came out and he watched us. We made it to the final round, lost in the 3rd set to Jake Landau and Lev Prima, and then he came out and watched like all the main draw matches because he like loves Andy Benish because Andy came on a Yosemite trip with me and Tyler and Delaney one year, and like loves watching you, and he was like, what do you think is holding you back? Because like I've watched, and Tyler, he's watched like sports like our whole life. Like he kind of he picks up sports and strategy and stuff. He's like, I watch you play and I watch like everyone else play, and it doesn't seem that different. He's like, what do you think's holding you back? And he compared me to like a 4A player in baseball, like the guy who's like a little above AAA, but not quite in the majors. You're just stuck in that limbo. Yeah. And he was like, why do you think that you're the 4A player right now? And I think just like the biggest difference between like a you and say an Andy is the gap between ceiling and floor is so small for someone like you, where when you're playing terrible, you're at a world-class level. Yeah. Versus like if Andy gets in a slump, he's down to like a upper qualifier level. Yeah. And I think the closer you can get that gap between your peak and your cellar, I think that's how you sustain greatness. And that's why you see the same teams in AVPs every year. That's a good point. Because like your dip is high. Katie Spieler loves saying you got to keep your highs high and your lows high. Yes. And like qualifier players, like your lows are just shitty.
Yeah. I think that's an extremely good point. And actually, you're making me remember back on like my early days of my career where I started having that self-awareness of okay, I'm in the slump. But now it's like a new challenge. I'm like, okay, how high can I make this low? Yeah. That's like the goal there. And then you start not getting into the slump and like, once you start practicing it, you're not getting into this slump, this low where you're like, great, now I'm just going to suck for the rest of the match. You're like, okay, here we go. How quick can I get out? Yeah. And like it's an opportunity, having that like more of a positive, like, I make mistakes. I get in slumps. It's what it just happens in sport. I don't know who doesn't. Yeah. Rather than like, oh man, I'm the one guy that's getting into a slump. You kind of tell yourself that somehow. Yeah. Right. And this is going to be embarrassing. It's like, no, we all get in slumps. I'm in one right now. How quick can I get out of it? But having that like positive mindset and then that confidence, and then you do get out of it, and then you do it again and do it again. Now the slumps come and you're just like, nah, you ain't shit. Yeah. Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. And then you learn things to like teach yourself how to come out of it. Like, well, I'm sucking right now, and they have this vibe to them, this energy, and they're talking to me.
Yeah.
And I'm down I don't want to engage in that, but I'm losing. So what do I have to lose now?
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a slump. I'm going to come engage back with them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're playing well, so they can only lose here.
Right.
Yep.
You know, whereas when I'm playing well, I'm not going to let them take me out of mine.
Right.
So it's you start learning little tricks for yourself, or whatever, little meditative things okay, bring myself back to feel the wind. Okay, I didn't even realize it was windy. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
But then that kind of brings you back, or broadening your vision, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you start learning tricks.
Whatever works for you.
But that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that there was a point in my career where I had to really learn and take that on as a challenge to make my lows high.
And that's how you go from down 16-12 in the Manhattan semifinals to winning the Manhattan Open.
That's exactly what I did. And they opened the door for that.
Yeah.
They came over. They were playing good. It was God, we just can't crack them. Mm-hmm. And then they let themselves. They started smiling, came over, slapped Trevor on the butt. So they felt comfortable enough to start talking to us, because we always talk. You know, Trevor's always talking. Mm-hmm. So it's okay, now we can talk because we got a big lead. Yeah. And then I was too soon. And I started saying that and using that, and I think it planted a seed in their head. They're oh, was it too soon? And then 1 block, oh, now they're feeling it. 2 blocks, now they're really feeling
that
it.
Was the
3,
best
now they're
ever.
done. Now they're done, and it's gonna hurt so much worse because they were winning. But that's what that was. That we engaged. I went hard engaging and talking for that specific moment because we were in a slump and whatnot. I had chosen to do it at that point. And then once momentum came back, the fans, everyone's we think they're coming back. Then I went into my zone.
Went in the zone.
I don't need to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Talking's done.
That's how it's done.
Yeah.
I remember looking. They posted that all your blocks on the AVP Instagram, and I remember
I felt bad.
You did. Yeah.
I was oh, it's too soon.
It is too
It was
soon.
a little
I feel
soon.
bad. That's one in the cut for his camera there.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
the camera's
remember.
my boy, so it was after the tournament, I'm I don't even want him to have to deal with that.
That's
Because I know how hard it would be on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal. But I remember looking at that, and because I watched the game, and then they showed all that, and I was oh my! I just rewatched it so many times. I'm that's just it's the coolest thing ever. It was so cool. Okay, so your brother, he asked, what is one rule change that you would like to see implemented?
So this is actually the Adam Roberts rule of how to fix trickle serves. So if this is at any point in the match, hit a serve and it hits the tape, it's now the offense's decision to play it or not. So if the ball comes, hits the tape, and it hits you, that's an ace. But you can choose to play it or not. So because sometimes it hits the tape and now you have a free ball. You can do whatever you want with it. But if it hits the tape and trickles over 2 inches, it's just a stupid play. It's not skilled. No one likes to watch it.
Yep.
It's just it halts the match a little bit. So just if you just leave it up to the offense.
But you don't want to do every one because you don't want it to be a tennis fault.
Yeah. So you get a fault, and then it's the freeze.
Yeah.
You get a fault, next one.
But it won't happen that often. It'll only be trickle aces, off the tape. Rarely a person's going to be and pull their arms back, if they're there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, but if you try to play it and it's still an ace, and if it hits you, ball's in play.
I love that you had this so ready to go.
Oh,
you didn't even have to think about it. You were on it.
Well, it's his brother's question.
It's Tyler's question.
True. I don't even think I can answer this right now. I have no idea. I don't even know the rules. So this summer I learned that you could open hand dig any ball, or what was it?
It's slowly changing. Yeah.
I
don't know the rules.
think I was in. It was my first AVP Next event. It was in San Antonio. I was playing with Maycraft, and we were playing him and Katie. I'm so sorry that I was screaming at Katie. Apologies if you're listening to this. I was. It definitely wasn't a swing, because if it was a hard-driven swing, I wouldn't have been complaining. I was just shooting a ball as she was pulling, a high line shot, and she was digging it open hand. And I was losing it because from my CBVA days, because I haven't done AVP stuff since I haven't since until this summer.
Yeah.
So I think in CBVA they just tell you have to dig a shot with your hands together because you have like kids reffing.
Yeah.
And so she was digging the ball with her. Well, they just weren't together, so I don't think she was setting it. I think it was like
but
this.
It was
a double.
It wasn't clean.
Wasn't clean, but he was like she wasn't using her fingers.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, she's kind of.
But that was a rule. I had no idea. So I literally asked multiple refs this summer, "Is this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, like that's you just can't like double it with your with your fingers unless it's perfectly clean."
Yeah.
So I could not have answered this because I don't even know the own rules of the AVP.
So Savvy's changing that one.
I think it's changing
Back to hands
too.
together.
Like
can't.
The rule at the net where you can reach over and redirect.
That's so indoor.
That's changed
it's
over
so
the
indoor,
years.
yeah.
I don't like it. Like it just doesn't feel like it should be a part of the game where you can grab and redirect. But then like I'll go up one-handed and just slam dunk it.
And they
It's
call
like,
it.
why do I
And
need
that's-
two?
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah,
stupid.
and they call it. I'm like, what?
Oh, I didn't see.
That's
I didn't
dumb.
even know. I didn't even know those.
And then it's like, it used to be like, if the ball's on the way over, you can block it. But then I heard they were calling it, I don't even know.
Did you see
I get
the one
scared
in
at the net. I'm
Atlanta?
like, I don't know. What am
Yeah,
I allowed
what-
to
just
do?
hit the ball.
Can I
Yeah,
go get it
yeah,
over
yeah.
there, or do I have to wait?
Yeah.
Because it changes. So I'm like, I don't know.
Did you see the one in Atlanta where Chase Budinger literally like caught it,
He does
held
it
onto
so
it,
bad.
and just
Oh,
like
they
and
called it though,
straight up
didn't they?
dunked it, and they called
Yeah.
it.
Oh, they
he was
did
like
call it.
freaking out, and then after the match, Dane was asking me, he's like, Chase, did you forget you were playing volleyball for a second there? And like, this wasn't the Timberwolves you were playing for, because Chase literally like caught it,
He's
held.
the king of the redirect,
Yeah.
like the full-on double hand slam. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the rule, then yeah, do it.
Yeah.
But it was before you'd get called for that.
Yeah.
But they don't really make it clear. There's not like a huge announcement of like, now you can do that.
Right.
The refs just are like, okay, now we're not going to call
Yeah,
that.
they kind of like
Yeah,
snuck
it's
that one in
so
there.
interesting.
Figure it out.
Yep.
I'm like, well, why can't I do it with one hand? Like,
Yeah.
I can reach further over the net with one hand. Why do I have to
Right.
do it with two?
Doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
So is that one you would change?
Yeah. Do I want that over? Yeah, I mean, for sure, redirect. Like,
Yeah.
grabbing it here and throwing it back that way. If you're going to do that, hit it back.
Hit it.
Like, block it back
Yeah.
in a direction.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if you're going to do the whole, like, reach over and you can grab it and slam it, then you can do it with one hand.
One-handed. Yep.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yep. I
I
don't
just
see the
naturally
difference.
will go with one hand. Like,
Right.
if I'm jousting or something,
Yeah.
I'd rather be one-handed than two.
That one's never made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good answers. Those were. I
Yeah.
didn't. You guys didn't even have to think about that. That's impressive. So this is. I guess this is. I mean, this is. I had two people ask. A lot of questions were repeats. I had two people
Yeah.
ask about Semenov's attitude. I don't even know who that is.
I'm
So-
gonna try the runway for 7.
One person said, "What do you think of his attitude on the court?" And then someone else said, "What are some unwritten rules on volleyball etiquette? Semenov seems to push the line a bit."
Oh man,
Oh, he's so good for the sport.
that
Just to
guy.
give fans something to love or hate. You
Yeah.
know? Semenov's attitude on the court is not what I would recommend. Like legit, if you're not a strong soul, he'll crush your soul. If you're
I'm gonna
his-
go look
if
up
you're his
YouTube
partner.
videos or something. I need to learn about this guy.
Like you could bounce a ball on him through his under him, and he's blocking line, and you bounce it in line, and he'll look at his partner and be like, "Pfft." Like something, like some kind of excuse.
And he'll start to it's like a pout. He's like,
Basically his body language is saying I can't believe I have to play with this guy. He's so bad.
He's
I'm
devastated.
the best player
amazing.
in the world, and he's blowing it for me right now. Like that's what he's saying with his body language. Yeah, and then he has a temper, kind of a little bit of a sore loser thing going on. Didn't shake hands when we beat him in Russia.
Yeah.
But then you'll see him a night later, and he's kind of bubbly and happy, and after we beat him, I'm like, oh, are we
cool?
Are we mad at each other?
Do
Or,
you
I don't
hate
know.
me?
How's it gonna be when we walk
Yeah.
by each other? And he walks by with his he literally had a nail board, a board of nails that he brought. He was bringing all the teams into his room to stand on it and to see if they could stand on it. Yeah. And everyone was doing it. He sold Nick a nail board to stand on. It's feet acupuncture. But basically you time it to see who can stand on it the longest. and it's legitimately sharp nails sticking.
I've seen those things, but not nails. They're like different. They're like little
his is
spiky
straight,
things.
hardy Russian sharp nails. So he's just like a unique character, 7-footer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a good guy, and Russians are also like very stern. Mm-hmm. So it's, I think initially when people see them, they think that they're really mad all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Semenov's body language is next level.
Yeah.
But any Russian team you watch, I mean, you watch like the young Russian girls who are, well, women who are like phenomenal. They look like they're ready to kill each other the whole time. And then we played a really good Russian team that's won a couple of like the U22 World Championships, and they look like they hated each other. Right. And then I was talking to the coach, like, oh no, they're best friends. And it's just like, and Krasilnikov is like notoriously hard on his partners.
Yeah,
the only one who's like, Oleg's just a goofball.
He's goofy and like happy
He's
and bubbly
awesome.
all the time. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
But with the exception of Oleg Stoyanovsky, like all the Russians, like they just look like they're pretty angry.
So mad.
Yeah, and then Semenov he's next level, like really mean to his partners.
Yeah.
But watching him is comedy. It's funny.
I would love to see that.
What was he doing? Oh, when I aced him and he was like, I go back and he's like this the whole time. Like waving to me to serve him again. I forget if I did, but.
He's funny. Yeah. He's a character.
Yeah.
I was playing against Lexi Denneberg and Maria Salgado in the Manhattan qualifier, and this rattled me. It was similar to that.
Maria is intense.
She, I was back to serve. I was topspin serving, and she did this thing. I don't want to do it. I'll knock over all the stuff. She did this thing in serve receive where she, took her hands off her knees. She jumped and clapped and was going like this to me. Yeah. And I was so rattled because girls just don't really do that type of stuff. Yeah. And she's giving me this. And I was like, I didn't know if I was annoyed or scared or thought it was funny. Between, yeah. I didn't know what it was, but whatever it was worked. I don't know what every time I don't know if she did it when Abby was serving. She must have been. But me and Abby were losing it. We were like, this lady's
The Brazilian
crazy.
girls are a little more, they take on that, the Brazilian guys' personas a little bit more.
But it works. I mean, it works.
They're intense, no screaming.
And I like Maria, but I was so thrown off. I had never experienced anything like it.
It's different.
It was different.
It's so good, though.
It's hilarious.
Get used to that kind of weird stuff. Yeah. So that, when you're out there on the world tour, nothing is like, all right, well, I've had Maria do flex downs on me, and where you're just like, okay, that's just what happens.
It's just
And I mean, 100% of the time, it's all left on the court.
Yeah.
It's just literally
they're
trying to get you.
Yeah.
They're trying to get in your head.
Yeah.
If they did, then it worked.
Yeah.
But it's good to acknowledge that and be like, okay, next time I see it, I know what it is,
Yeah.
And even if it is personal after, okay.
She didn't do it in Atlanta. And then she was doing it, and maybe this is a new, because I beat her in Atlanta, and then she beat me, so maybe she was it was an extra thing. I don't know what it was.
She knew she's playing a rookie.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's a veteran.
Smart, yeah.
And this girl's confident and got skills, and she's got momentum. I'm going to do something weird to rattle her. And she's like, whatever it was. It worked.
I wish I had a video of it.
That's exactly what I would do that stuff.
Yeah.
If I found a little thing that I could rattle a rookie with, because they're going to beat me in a tournament that I need to win, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Anything it takes.
Yeah.
Anything it takes. Yeah.
So we probably got one more, two more? We're at an hour 10.
Perfect. Okay. I think this is an interesting one. I don't know if we've talked about this much, but do you support the idea of men's college beach? What are the biggest challenges? I think maybe we've touched on this, but I feel like for at least the girls, having college is such an advantage. At least say just, for example, because with COVID, when there wasn't anything going on, we still had a full-on season. Yes, we don't have the experience playing on the AVP or the tour, or we don't have points, but we at least had all those extra touches. And I was thinking about, I talked to my mom about this. She was like, people like you and Zana and Sarah Sponsel, have far less touches than Kelly Clays or Sarah Hughes or these girls that did just beach in college, because we missed out on all kinds of fall training, and then even during the spring, during season, we half the time we were still playing indoor.
I forgot you guys played indoor.
Yeah, like me
a lot of
and
value to
Zana
indoor,
and
though.
Tori Van Winden, like
Yeah.
we would go play indoor volleyball on Tuesdays and Thursdays during season, unless it was like a huge game, like Pac-12s or Gulf Shores the next week. Like we had full spring training, so like not that they have like this huge advantage, like no pressure on them, but like they have just more touches than on the beach than we would. So I feel like having college beach volleyball could only help with the transition. It's so hard for guys. I mean, you guys all you did indoor and then you had to learn how to play beach. So unless you grew up playing beach. So I mean, I personally think it'd be awesome, but I don't know. What are I don't really know the challenges, just not enough money in men's sport, like, or the Title IX stuff. Like, Title IX. Yeah.
I mean, I think Title IX is the biggest barrier. And then right now, I mean, funding. I mean, you looked at colleges are cutting programs like left and right now as it is. So, I mean, adding new ones, especially a non-revenue generating sport, is a tough mountain to climb. I remember, so there was another question in there asking like what USA Volleyball can do to win more medals. I think the biggest thing they could do is try to get men's college beach to be a thing, because you look at the effect that the NCAA has had on the women's game. I mean, the U.S. is the best country in the world, and it's not even close on the women's side. Because like, and you mentioned, like you haven't played AVP, but look at the teams you're playing against. I mean, how many times did you play Kristen and Taryn? That's an AVP champion team.
Exactly.
Tina Gradina is an Olympian. You know, you're playing against players who are not only AVP level, but they're Olympic level. And so, and you're getting that over and over and over again. You're getting coaching from Stein Metzger, Jenny Johnson-Jordan, and Jose Loyola. Like, Jose, like, made try an Olympian. You know, and he was an Olympian himself, and like one of the best players in the world. So you look at what the NCAA is the best thing to ever happen to USA Volleyball. And so to have that, men's college beach is a thing in NAIA and Division III. And so USA, I think, should be promoting that and doing everything they can to get those programs, because like it's free development system for them.
We did the national team development program, we did a little college camp in Huntington Beach this summer, and they like picked, I think it was 12 women and 12 men, but it was super interesting because a lot of like all the girls that went, it was like me and Megan Kraft and Lexi and Taryn and Chris, like it was all the girls that were in the 1s, 2s, or 3s for their school, and a lot of the guys, I hadn't even met half the guys before, because they were like, most of them were just indoor players. Like I just know so many like of the guys that grew up here, like say like Casey McGarry or Roy McFarland, who I just know them from just, they went and played indoor at UCSB, but they grew up here and they're rad beach volleyball players. But I don't even know if maybe they were invited, I don't know. But, those were the type of guys that I expected to see out there with the guys that have the experience. But a lot of them were like these super tall beach or indoor guys. I didn't really see much of the men's practice, but from what I gathered, like a lot of them didn't have that much beach experience. So the girls' side made sense, but the guys' side, I feel like, I don't know if a lot of the guys just said no, or their coaches didn't respond very well, or like they just didn't really know who to select. It's tough to select the guys for the college development program when there's no college beach volleyball.
No idea who they are.
Yes, you're taking these awesome, indoor guys, but you don't know how they're going to be on the beach. So I found that super interesting. It's like there's so many guys I would expect to see out there that weren't there, but maybe I don't know. It's just such an interesting situation. And I wish wasn't there just a college tournament?
So actually that tournament was held at Stevenson, which is 15 minutes from where I grew up. So Stevenson is a D3 school in Maryland, and they're like one of the only men's beach programs in the country. And I think it kind of speaks to the level of it that Tim Brewster went, and he was like, anything less than a win would have been like ridiculous. And because he was like, there's no beach players there. And so I think college beach, like for the men, like USA should try to do whatever they can to make that happen at NAIA, D3, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty clear. It's so good for the women, and the women are so good for the tour. Like, I'm stoked that we have the women feeder system, because it's just growing our sport and making it better. But I don't have an answer for how we're going to pull it off. I don't see it being close at all. Well,
because there's men's indoor programs that are being cut or threatened to be cut, and that's crazy to me.
In college, I feel like me and Riley would have been the number one beach team in the country for sure. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that knew that or thought that.
Yeah.
Like, and if they like picked teams or something, they would have. I don't know who they would have picked.
Right.
Like, would they have picked us?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I just don't know.
And then giving us the opportunity to move up. If could find a way to incentivize these talented beach players who know they want to play beach to not go the full indoor route, that would be the answer. But
yeah,
it's a hard sell.
limited options.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a make or break though. I think there'll be the cream will rise to the top eventually. Anyway, it's just going to take longer for the men, whereas the women are going to come out ready to go pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I hope so because it would help the sport even more. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Big time. It's good to see you coming out on tour.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Good to have the squad back together, Bentley included. Fun podcast, guys.
Yeah, good
That
stuff.
was awesome.
Good to get the squad back together here.
Happy to be in the studio.
In person.
Finally. I know.
Welcome, Sam.
It's awesome.
First time.
It's awesome.
It'll get nicer as we go here too. We'll have it dialed.
Yeah.
Piled in.
Sick.
All right, guys. Thanks for the fan questions. Love all the support. And if you want SANDCAST merchandise, rocking a new SANDCAST shirt.
Yeah, that thing looks comfy too.
Dude, it's nice.
I
The
want
new
I
logo
want one of
thanks to
those.
Nicolette
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah.
Dude, she nailed it. Yeah, we gotta get us some
Yeah.
gear.
So, SANDCASTmerch.com. And we'll get you guys outfitted.
.com. It actually looks super comfortable.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. Better than our last one. For sure.
Definitely. All right, guys.
Sweet.
Shoots.
See ya.